Hey, everybody. My name is Joe, if we haven't met yet. I'm one of the leaders here with Vineyard Covington, and I've got another practice for us to dig into this week. Hopefully, you've been following along with us as we've been practicing prayer together, and I've got something that I think you're going to enjoy to go through this week. Last week, Tyler led us through Lectio Divina, and this week I'm going to talk about another prayer practice that's very old. It's called the Daily Examen. So the word examine comes from the Latin word examination, and it was developed by Ignatius of Loyola from his book Spiritual Exercises that was first published back in 1548. This practice of prayerful reflection is an attempt to notice God's presence and to discern what he is doing. So it gives us a chance to see God working in the small things throughout our day, because as we all know, he's always at work. We usually are just a little bit too busy to hear and to notice what he might be doing. If you remember, Jesus says in John 5:17 that my Father is always working, and so am I. There's also a great example in Psalm 121 that basically says your guardian God never sleeps or slumbers. And don't forget about Romans 8:28, where Paul says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Step one, be still. Become aware of the presence of God. Basically, this is just to get you centered. And I love how Richard Foster points out in his awesome book on prayer about the Eastern Orthodox tradition of breath prayer. It's helpful for you, maybe it is for me, to say simply, you are here, Lord, with a breath in, and on the breath out, and I am with you. You are here, I am with you. Step two, review your day, or the time since you did your last examen, with gratitude. Focus on the goodness in your life. What are the things you've been thankful for since the last time you did this exercise? And I would encourage you to pay attention to small things, to find God in his work in something you're grateful for, like a great cup of coffee, or something you can see around you in nature, especially in this season of spring. And just remember that God is in the details. Step three, pay attention to your emotions. So one of St. Ignatius' great insights was that we can detect the presence of the Spirit of God in our moments of emotion. So in this step, ask yourself, how are you arriving at this prayer? Are you stepping into it a little frustrated, a little impatient, joyful? Whatever it is, God will often remind you of these things and give you a chance to weigh them. Examples might be, why was I impatient with my kids earlier today? What was happening there? Or why did that song make me feel sad in a way that didn't make sense to me? God is always inviting us into something, and often it arises when we inspect our emotions. Step four is to choose one feature of your day and pray about it. So with step four, ask the Holy Spirit to direct you to something during your day that he might help you think, and God might think is particularly important. Turn your heart towards that thing and pray for it. Give it to the Lord completely. Step five is simply hope and looking toward the next hours with expectation. So tell the Lord that you trust him. Tell the Lord that you have hope, that the hours ahead are going to be beautiful and wonderful, and that he would let his kingdom come and let his will be done. So we're ending with trust. We're reorienting with a trustful posture. And that's it. Hopefully these are helpful for you. Ignatius was very adamant that this should be done midday and at the end of your day. I know people that do it 8 to 10 times a day. For our purposes, though, let's just try it at the end of your day, maybe right before bed or in bed, to step through these 5 steps. Once you memorize them, you can do it as much as you want, as often as you're willing. And so I think this is going to be an amazing practice. I think it's going to give us an opportunity to notice God's work more in our days. And I know that it's been helpful for me. Days are not just a blur as easily because I'm remembering the details. It's helpful for self-awareness. I know that when I practice this regularly, I'm much more aware of why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. And I worry less. I have increased discernment about what God might be doing. And I find myself more reflective and less reactive. So that's it. God bless you and have an awesome week.